Where is Sisuki Ayoktabe and his colleagues? We were talking about him a few days ago. Julius Ayoktabe, leader of the separatist movement in Cameroon, was reportedly arrested along with other colleagues in Nigeria. The information was given by his movement. But the Nigerian authorities denied that they had been responsible for the arrests, but the Cameroonian government was silent on the case. Julius Ayoktabe, the man who had declared himself president of Ambazonia, the virtual republic of the secessionists, a year ago, Cameroon has been shaken by a crisis in the two Anglophone-speaking regions.
The unrest in Cameroon began in November when English-speaking teachers and lawyers in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, frustrated with their work conditions, took to the streets calling for reforms and greater autonomy. In October 2017, the English-speaking group declared autonomy over the two English-speaking regions, a move that was rejected by Cameroon's president, Paul Biya. Clashes between the government and supporters of the separatist group followed, and dozens of people were killed, including police officers. The leaders of the separatists fled to neighboring countries, including Nigeria, since the government clamped down on their campaigns. According to the United Nations Refugee Agency, over 40,000 people from the English-speaking region fled to Nigeria since October last year.
We are now joined on phone by Hans de Marie Hungup, a specialist in Central Africa at the International Crisis Group. Hello, Mr. Hungup, good morning. What effect could these arrests have on the future of the secessionist movement? It's difficult to predict, in a way, what the political or security implications will be. But we can sketch some theories. One of them is that it gives divisions within the secessionist movement with a part that would become frightened and close to the Federalist current, and another part that would tend to become more radical because of this arrest. The second theory is that the movement as a whole becomes one with the arrests, since there are interims who have already been set up to replace the group of those that were arrested. And they choose even a more radical option, that of the interim government of Ambazonia, which, although gradually beginning to embrace the option of armed struggle, was still finding difficulty between obtaining freedom by diplomatic means or self-defense. Would that be considered a victory for the Cameroonian government? That would be short-term tactical victory for as long as the arrest was effected by the Cameroonian authorities. And even though it would be by Nigerian special forces, it would be a victory in the short term. But in the long term, it's not certain that it will cause easing of the situation. On the contrary, it may rather distract the authorities of Cameroon, stress necessary to initiate political dialogue, including with peaceful militants of secessionist movement. But I was also saying, on a purely safety level, the catastrophic scenario is not to be dismissed. That is to say, concretely, the secessionist movement can become one of these causes, and those will replace members of the interim government that have been imprisoned, could be more radical and accentuate the army struggle. It will not be the context of victory. Last question. Could these arrests have been made without information sharing between Cameroon and Nigeria? In my opinion, in view of the liabilities of relations between Cameroon and Nigeria, particularly in relation to the Bakassi affair and the improvement efforts that have been carried out since in the fight against Boko Haram, it seems almost impossible or improbable that Cameroonian intelligence services can operate in capital Abuja without Nigerian authorities being informed. And clues that we have now tend to show that in this direction of an operation carried out by Nigerian services. Thank you, Hans de Marie Hungup, for your analysis.